All right, everybody. Welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. It's been a minute. It's been a lot of minutes, actually, since posted any YouTube videos. The internet has been wondering where I'm at, which I do appreciate all of the concern for those of you that were concerned and sent us messages and called. And, you know, we can get into what's been going on a little bit later in the shop. But, you know, for now, figured I really needed to get back on after this past weekend, which was when I won the Indy 800 for the second time. And yes, there will be another video about that, but that is not this video. And that's just because, due to kind of some reasons, it's going to take me a while to edit that video. Like I said, we'll talk about that later. But I'll give you a hint. I mean, you guys may have seen this trailer before, but we'll get inside and show you what's going on with that, or was in the trailer and what it did this weekend also. But, you know, we got to do a weather update. It's nice in Florida. It's sunny. It's actually been too sunny, and we're in a drought right now. And there's been some fires, which maybe you saw the thing with the incident at Cletus's airport where the plane crashed and caught all that ground on fire. But we've had some stuff like that up here just from lightning strikes and catching the woods on fire. But anyway, let's get in the shop and go through some stuff. You know, we're down here after hours. Lee just dropped us off the trailer, and you can see the nose of his green Viper over there. But you guys may remember this car from Sick Week with Reno, and it's missing something. I had to send that back for some repairs, unfortunately, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. But caught Eddie not doing anything again. Just tight, just like always. Things haven't changed much around here. No. Just sitting there on the computer.
I still just don't do anything.
You did do something this weekend.
What'd I do?
Well, you were a part of 3 race wins.
Right.
You were, yeah.
Almost 4.
3.5.
Well, no, you weren't there for the burnout thing, so I wasn't counting that one.
Oh.
I was counting Saturday and Sunday.
Oh.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna count Sunday.
We're gonna count on Sunday. So CJ and Eddie both were up at pit race in Pittsburgh with Lee and that Viper, and you can kind of tell it's pretty filthy dirty because it ended up being a rain race. She's got dirt and rubber all piled up in there, and back of the car's all, it really doesn't look that bad in the video, but that's not normal. But this thing's sweet. If you guys haven't seen this up close yet, it is a Comp Coupe Viper, carbon Kevlar body, I think. It's got a sequential transmission, so you can just smash through the gears without ever lifting off the throttle. And my little test drives around the industrial park here are a lot of fun. Like I kind of want to take that thing out on a racetrack, but that's $100,000+ sitting there, and that's still a big hit for my wallet. Like that money is not available in any of my bank accounts.
You got that.
No.
You got that.
I don't.
That's pocket change. That's lunch money.
No, I don't. I definitely don't. But anyways, the poor Cutlass just shoved it up there.
Forgot that thing existed.
You forget that thing was up there?
Yeah, seems like you forgot it.
You want to know what happened this weekend? You haven't heard this yet.
Uh-oh.
So I'm talking to Garrett about what we're going to do with the motor, right? And he's like, why don't you put it in your Buick?
Oh, he's called it a Buick. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cletus, I don't own a Buick. It's an Oldsmobile. And for my Oldsmobile friends, it's going to get the Oldsmobile motor in it that I already have.
Whatever, Buick boy.
Hey, no, it is not a Buick.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Just a bunch of jerks. So, yeah, I'm not going to put the engine that I won from the Indy 800 in that. I can't do that. Although I did say I would put a big block Chevrolet in it.
Well,
if I blow up the Oldsmobile engine.
I need about 2,000.
Well, yeah, my Oldsmobile motor should make 16 to 1800. And the goal with that car is to be, I believe, the first Oldsmobile powered door car in the 6s in the quarter mile. So it's going to have to be light. It needs to make 1800 horsepower. And then I've got to really get after the front half to make that work, which you can tell by what's left. We're doing a pretty good job with making it light. And the idea for everybody that's, watched along with that, it'll be kind of a dual mode car, where we'll be able to strip the street fuel system out, strip the radiator out, and only run the car on alcohol when we want to go out there and try to go real fast. But I'm gonna get that back down, and kind of one of the reasons for the long break is we have just been absolutely slammed here in the shop. I mean, there's been a bunch of you calling, and I mean, this is it. Us three, we're the guys that are putting in the work in the shop. We are looking for another guy to be here in the shop with us. So send in your resume, your application.
We want somebody short like Ricky, right? Because I don't like crawling up under in cars, welding dash bars in.
Poor
so if you can
Ricky.
weld and you're little, we want to hire you.
Oh, yeah. So Ricky left. Well, I never posted the video about that, but Ricky still in town here, but he is going to fire college full time. And it's basically a boot camp for, what do you say, 8 weeks?
12.
12 weeks. Yeah. So he's been to some of the races with us, like came and hung out at the Freedom 500 with us. But yep, he's moved on. Like, I guess he has some family or something that did firefighting stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
And long-term goal was, he had told us a while back, but the long-term goal was to get through fire college and probably move back down to South Florida where he was from. And, that's all good. We've had quite a few guys come through here and go on to different things, kind of like Drew with, moved on to Spire Motorsports in the NASCAR Truck Series, which is pretty awesome. Some other guys have left in years before I started the YouTube channel, started their own businesses, and they get to enjoy the stress of business ownership as I do sometimes. And, some of that stress is really why there hasn't been as much going on with the YouTube stuff, because it's a combination of all the logistics that it takes to manage this place. And I do have Tad, and now we've got a new guy in the office named Matt that you guys haven't met yet. But we are working through all of that, and then there's stuff where we're working towards where, we're managing parts, we're managing projects, and then sometimes a long-term customer, let's say like Lee with his Vipers. And
did you show that one yet?
No, we're about to talk about that one too.
Uh-oh.
So when that happened early this year, what was that, January, I think?
Yeah.
January. There was a thrash initially to try and get that ready for a race in March, but after tearing into it quite a bit, we realized we couldn't get parts. So we are still waiting on some parts to come back in. The body panels, well, if you can't tell, it was crashed. So Lee had a little oopsie down at Sebring. And anyways, I guess what basically I was getting to with the scheduling stuff, with all of the stuff down here, as well as my kids, like my daughters are getting older, and being a divorced parent, I have them half of the year. So with all of their extracurriculars, like I have two daughters that are in competitive gymnastics, one that's in kind of it's a less strict, I guess you could say. And then my youngest daughter is doing really, really, really well in her competition level gymnastics stuff. And like she's in level 7 at 9 years old, just turned 9. And she's one of the youngest, as far as I know, in level 7. And it's a huge time commitment, as far as she's got 4 hours of practice every weekday. And she's 9. So we get home at like 8:30 to sometimes 9 o'clock. That's typically a time, like normally they were in bed by that time, but now we're getting pushed back to where we can't even get everything done. And when she has competitions on the weekends, if it's not my weekend to have them, well, I'm still going to watch her compete, and that may mean that I miss a weekend when I could normally get some work done here in the shop, which, as the business owner, I do that often. Come down here, work late hours, work till midnight, early in the morning if I need to get a project done, or at least to do our best to get a project done. And sometimes you just run out of time, especially trying to manage all of the other things, because like these cars have races that they have to get to, and we have to completely change our schedule around to take care of this car. Or the guy that owns this car, Grant, not that person. Nobody owns him.
Yeah.
So
wait, hold on, huh?
I pointed right at you when I said this car. So this is Grant's Corvette, which they also have an NC Miata that we've had in a few times. It was crashed, late last year or middle of last year?
What?
The NC.
Oh, that was like earlier this year.
No, that was the second time. We fixed it from another.
Yeah. No, that was 2 years ago when they crashed it.
Oh, that was the big crash. Yeah.
They just crashed it again a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much fixed now.
Yeah, that was a little crash, but part of endurance.
We do a lot of crashing around here, these road race guys.
Apparently, lately we do. Well, just only 2. That's not too bad, I guess. But Grant and Chuck also, they run the Champ Car Endurance Series, as well as, have they done anything else? I know this thing's being built for the WRL, right?
Yeah.
The World Racing League.
Yeah, no, they don't really do anything else.
So they had some races they had to get ready to, and we had some updates we needed to do to their NC Miata to get them ready for a race. What'd they run? They went to NCM. That was the national championship, right? But then they won Sebring.
They won the Sebring, the New Year's Eve Sebring
Yep.
on Saturday. And we went to VIR a couple weeks before that. And the car was giving problems, like the ABS wasn't working.
Gotcha.
It was we pretty much went to VIR to stand around and do nothing. That sucked.
Yeah.
Then they won Sebring. Then we went to NCM, and there was a couple problems, but we could have won, and then it ran.
Yeah, that was the national championship deal,
Yeah.
which they've come close a couple of times. I think 23 national championship, or was it the 24 national championship? Because this was the 24 national championship they just ran. So the 23 national championship was up at Ozarks, Lake of the Ozarks. Is that the name of that track?
Yeah.
But they ran second at that one, and there was something that, the fuel pump started dying late in the race or something.
Yeah, that was it.
And they had the lead and lost the lead and finished second overall. But
Rumor has it that's why you don't camp car race anymore. It's because you're scared of Grant and Chuck.
I am not scared of Grant
That's
and
what I
Chuck.
heard.
I'm sure they
That's
probably
what I
said
heard.
that.
Don't be the messenger.
No. I do have 2 cars for Champ Car. They need some updating. You guys may have seen, if you go back on the channel, where Cletus and I went road racing at the last race that, at least to this point, the last race at PBIR down there in Palm Beach. We took the Lexus down there, and we're leading by 2 laps when the alternator blew up and smoked the battery. And we had to come in. But this car is one that's been in progress for a little while, and Grant took it home because he is getting, these fenders are some kind of custom prototype fender, and we've been waiting on them for months.
Over a year.
Over a year.
Been a year and a half.
Yep. So, and some people that watch the channel may not understand how custom stuff like this and other cars that we do, they take a long time, because, for example, this car, we had to get it to where it was a roller so that we could get the ride heights figured out and then measure from the tire to the inside mounting points, because there's some prototype front fenders that are still not even done. These rears, you can, if you look at them from the back here, you can see the extra fender bulge on them. That's exaggerated even farther than stock is, and the fronts, because that's a 355 millimeter wide tire on the front there, those tires never came on a Corvette. So they really want to run a square wheel and tire setup on this thing, like the same tire on every corner. So that means we've had to do some custom stuff, which has turned into a very long wait. And we do have a nose for the car that's out back. The roof and the windshield are already mounted. There's like a windshield frame there, and so all of that's taken care of. But we really can't even do the final air pipe because I would assume we're putting a duct in the nose for that.
Yeah, it's gone down to here.
Oh, that's right. And then we're boxing off. Yeah, we're ducting off the front there. Yeah, I forgot about that. So this thing actually has a Miata radiator in it. Grant did the math on, like Grant that owns this thing is super smart. And he did the math on kind of the horsepower of the engine and the heat it was going to generate, and figured out an idea of like the cooling capacity of the radiator with the airflow through it, because this will be like the entire front will be ducted off. Like you can kind of see the mounting for the ducts. That's hard to say. Ducts. Anywho, once we get all of that, then we can mount the front end, finish the duct work. I can say duct work better than I can say ducts. Anyway, but there's a lot of cool stuff on this car. Eddie custom made some parts to make.
That's the baddest accessory drive on any Corvette ever made, ever.
Wow, that's a big statement, bud.
I'm making big statements.
Keeping it
Look
real.
at that. I'm keeping it real.
So, yeah, you can see some kind of cool trickery there. And that's a Volkswagen alternator that we squeezed down in there by the steering rack. We moved the engine back in the car a little bit because normally, you Corvette guys know that there's normally not that much gap right there.
We can actually turn this motor over, you know, which most Corvette guys can't do.
Yep, you can turn it over by hand. You can actually get a socket in there. This is a, did it end up being a 5.3? It's a 5.7 block with a 5.3 crank in it.
4.8 crank in it.
4.8 crank in it. That's right. It's a little short stroke deal.
Yeah.
But it made really good power for what it is. Like, it's like 311 cubic inches or something, right? Like we did the math at one point, and it was so long ago I forgot, because we actually assembled this engine. It had an engine in it when it came to us at one point. We put the engine in it and we had to take it back out because it knocked the thrust out of it and it was super rattly. So we took it apart, sent the pistons out to line to have the skirt coating put on them, and now this thing sounds like a sewing machine. But anyways, it's got some cool stuff, like that's a titanium dash mount that Eddie made.
That's sick. That's probably the coolest thing I've ever made. For sure.
But unfortunately he did, well, back to this car, unfortunately Lee did have a accident with this, and we can't even get the car out of the shop because we're waiting on an upper control arm, because of the upper control arm got damaged. And this has a machine spherical bushing in it. Where's those control arms at that you were working on?
The rear?
Yeah, okay. So, which Eddie's been doing some machining on the rears on these pads. But you can see in here, it's got a solid steel ball. So that's the bushing. And then there's spacers that fill out to the original bushing thickness. But I don't have the capability of machining that, because you have to machine one bore and then you have to machine a groove for a lock ring. And I don't have that capability, so I sent them out to somebody that's supposed to be taking care of them for us, and their CNC machine broke, so we've been waiting on that.
That's why you should just buy a CNC mill. Just buy one.
Let me borrow some of your money.
Just trade the motor you just won for a CNC mill.
That's like 30 grand versus 500 grand.
Same thing.
I wish I had his optimism.
But one of the little desktop ones from Temu.
From Temu, yeah. About Wish.
Or Wish.
Like it looks like a really big one, and it comes in and it's like the size of a car, which, I mean, that could still be big enough, but no, we're not doing that. But, you know, things have been busy around here. supposed to be taking that to some races later this year as soon as we get the engine back. Definitely a little bummed about the motor situation, but sometimes they need a touch up. Luckily, we didn't make big power with the engine, or we probably would have hurt it bad, because it was kind of hurting some stuff without even really putting a lot of big power through it. So, kind of one project we've been working on for that car while the engine's been out is we put some Delta Pag fans on the radiator. Had to do a little custom modifications to that. But there's been some other projects. The old C10, I think that was a C10, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's back on the dyno. It came in for a tune and what was supposed to be a no start problem. Well, the no start problem ended up being a wiring issue that we fixed pretty quick. And then once we did try to get it to crank, half the engine had no compression. So we ended up finding a bunch of bent valves in the engine and ended up taking the engine out and rebuilding the engine in the thing. Unplanned, because we thought a couple week project, and then it snowballed into a couple of months while we've been trying to fit it in between all this other stuff. But it's probably long enough for me to be yammering on about everything.
Show Kelly's car.
Show Kelly's car?
I'm proud of it.
Can I get back to Kelly's car?
No, not really.
Well, then why'd you suggest it?
I don't know. It looks good.
Because he's a dingus. He's a dingus.
Well, let's go.
Let's do it. Actually, you can get to it, I think.
Come on.
I guess we'll just show up. Let's make this video even longer.
Perfect.
You guys haven't seen us in a while, so we're gonna one take this too. Like, I don't even know if I'm gonna
One
edit this.
take?
Well, I mean, we've been killing it so far.
Okay.
Oh, there's a engine in for a cam job, waiting on a deposit for that one. Kyle, if you see this, still waiting. But anyways, this has been CJ's project.
Out in the dungeon.
It's a little warm back here. There's the C10 we were talking about. And this thing got a Detroit Speed front subframe. And these things are sweet. Like, this is the first one we've installed. And it's nice. The sway bar is inside of this front crossmember deal here. And it's got a big fat sway bar on it. Because this guy wants to do some road racing as well as it be a street car. So it's going to have not like wheel-to-wheel road racing, I don't think, but just like some take it out and go have fun over at the firm, our local our local road race track. But there's been a huge rack of parts over there. Got a brand new, is it a Tremec?
It's a Tremec TKX, the 5-speed, like the newer 5-speed.
Okay. Vintage air there in the box.
It's got Corvette hubs on it.
Corvette.
Yeah.
That means it's got metric lug nuts in it, though. Ew.
Metric's better. Metric is superior to standard. I don't care what anybody says.
Dang it, we're going to send you back to Antigua.
Oh.
I thought it was Antigua.
Antigua.
Wow. Throw this at you, boy.
So back here, CJ mini-tubbed it, which I can't really... Man, that buzzing is really annoying.
Yeah, I shut that off when I'm back here.
Well, then why'd you turn it back on?
Why'd you turn it back
I had
off?
to roll the truck.
Oh.
I wanted to make sure I was getting RPM.
Gotcha.
Good boy.
So, mini-tubbed it, which we can kind of see up in there. These are some old wheels we had laying around. Actually, you had laying around at the house, right? Yep. Did the 9-inch conversion to it. Also from Detroit Speed with their 4-link kit. So you can see, and this all looks really good on camera too. We ended up painting the whole underside of the car. There was some patchwork. Like, you can see we didn't put that floor paint in it, did we?
No, all the patches in the floor were already there, but
we cleaned them up.
I cleaned them up, resealed them, and then...
Yeah, they didn't have any seam sealer on that, so CJ seam sealed it as well as like some of this other stuff.
The whole thing was covered in crappy like undercoating. So
you see where we added in the pocket for the upper control arm. And this is kind of a unique thing that Detroit Speed has worked up. That is an 8.8 center section in a 9-inch rear end. So it's kind of like an 8.8 with 9-inch ends on it. That's an inside joke for us. Probably won't tell you guys what that's about.
We should.
No.
We should.
But CJ's got the fuel pressure regulator mounted, like the filter regulator. Holly's like kind of Corvette, upgraded billet Corvette style regulator thing. And this thing is getting a 390-inch stroker LS. It's in an aluminum block. We started with a 5.7 block and had it honed to 3.905. The block was super thin and it didn't stay round when we took the torque plates off of it, or when the machine shop took the torque plates off of it. And we were actually starting to assemble it and noticed a couple of irregularities in the cylinder walls. So we went and found a Gen 3 or Gen 4 aluminum block. And I had to make a couple more trips back to the machine shop that we use up in Jacksonville. But it is assembled and pretty much ready to go in here. So if the Viper wasn't over there, this would be over there, because we've got to get it around, get the engine in it. I think we're going to paint some parts of the firewall.
Yeah.
We've got some, because the project grew quite a bit.
No, they don't ever do that.
Yeah.
No, people don't ever add on stuff that they want done.
Yep. So this is kind of another one that's been working in between the big projects, or it is a big project, but working in between the stuff we're doing for different races, like Lee's car and Grant and Chuck's NC, and stuff for Sick Week and all the stuff we've been thrashing to get done. But I think we're aiming for a 315 all the way around on this car. Yep. Is that the plan? So, which these are actually some of Grant's Corvette wheels on the front.
They actually fit pretty well.
They do fit pretty well, but we're going to use that for kind of a mock-up and see if because we're going to be ordering wheels and tires for this car. But a lot of big projects around here lately, and the big stuff at times can really take a toll on you, especially because there is a boatload of hours that goes into these things. And I mean a boatload. Yeah, a lot. So I'm sure there's going to be people asking, and notice that Steve and Val's Camaro isn't here anymore. And some of you may have seen that we didn't completely finish that thing. And some of the reason for that is we were just so freaking busy. So basically with Val and Steve's project, that thing, since Mullet, and since kind of the same way my car is being built, and the Chevy II and some of these other, which that car is similar to my car in as the amount of hours to build that thing. And it was far beyond what I even thought it was going to be. And in talking with even Steve, had an idea of 2,500 hours to build the car. And in talking to some other people, like Cameron Johnson and I are friends, and we talk regularly about stuff. And they're even 2,500 hours into a car like Eagle doesn't have a street fuel system, or power windows, or a USB charger for your cell phone, or a cooling system in it, because it's all alcohol and it gets pushed to the starting line and pushed back from the top end. All of the extra street stuff could easily add 500 to 1,000 hours more on a project like that. And with the guys we have here and the time we had available with events that we were committed to, as well as, guys like Lee that have worked with me for over a decade, and Grant's been longer than Lee. Thinking about it, Grant, to show you how long we go back, Grant helped me finance the dyno, because he loaned me the money to be able to buy the dyno. Grant and another friend helped me finish, buy the dyno with some money that I had saved up in the business. And then I gave them basically lifetime use of the dyno as a return on their favor, as well as paying them back for the dyno. But because of that gesture, I offered them lifetime use of the dyno for as long as I had the thing. But unfortunately, we just didn't get it done. And it was a big disappointment for me. That last week, just me put over 100 hours into the car. The week he came and picked it up, and I think you guys both had 80 or 90 hours that week too.
Yep, something like that.
But basically, even having my kids, I still managed to put 100 hours into the car that week before he got here. And I saw some of the comments that people made, oh, nothing changed on the car since he was here in November. Y'all don't know what you're looking at. There's a short version of that, because I have multiple pages of lists of things that got done on the car. Some may be less visible than others. Like, for example, every single panel in the car that touched the body has seam sealer on it now. All of the carbon fiber that was under the back of the car, or that was not under the back of the car when they were here in November working on the car with us, all of that was put in and finalized. Like, there was a ton of stuff that wasn't done that got done that people just didn't see. Now, there was plenty of stuff to still do on the car. There was realistically probably another 100 to 200 hours into the car. Like, we would need another 2 weeks of just working on that car to get it done and out of here, to where it could go to the racetrack and be done, like with the power windows, the front end mounted, the exhaust done, you know, and we just weren't able to get the thing all the way done. And Steve was coming down for that race in Daytona, and he said he was picking it up and taking it home. And I did as much on it as I could do in the time that I had available. So there still may be, and like, as far as I know, Steve and I are good. Val and I are good. We hugged this weekend. We hung out this weekend at the Indy 800. So the internet can make beef where I don't think there's beef. And we still plan to be a part of that project. It's the biggest project we've done here at the shop, but it's a massive project. I mean, I get 2,500 hours plus. You guys do the math on a complete car build like that. Like, in some ways, it's cheaper to build a Pro Mod than, well, I mean, in a lot of ways, than a top level, like, drag and drive style car that has the potential to run in the fives and can still drive down the road. Like, that's a massive undertaking, and being really nice, I think. Like, yeah, like, there's a lot of time and a lot of money wrapped up in builds like that. And we're gonna start dialing some of that back, which maybe some of you guys watched Cameron Johnson's video about not building cars anymore. We're gonna dial back, like, to maybe only having one big project going on at a time, not including my car, just because they're taxing on us here in the shop. Like, they really, really, really are. But anyways, I'm yammering on. It's late. I'm supposed to do dinner with my girlfriend. AC's cranking. Aren't you glad we have AC?
Oh, yeah. So glad. I worked for a whole 3 weeks at this shop without AC. I don't know how I can do it again.
CJ and I suffered for years with no AC.
That's right.
That sucks.
It
For
did.
you guys.
The old shop was really bad.
The old shop was bad, and it had no airflow through it at all. This one at least had the fan, so we got a little air through it. But anyways, you guys have heard me yammer on enough. I am working on the Indy 800 edit, and excited to show you guys that one, and should have an engine here pretty soon. And I also just found out that later this week, I'm going to hang out with Cletus for a little bit to do one of his little fun things. So you guys will be seeing myself and the Lucy, the Lexus burnout car, on his channel here in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I'll video it. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys all for watching, subscribing, following along, all the positive comments about, you know, the concern for me in the shop for not posting on YouTube as much, and all of the congratulations and kudos for the race wins and all that good stuff. So see you guys soon, hopefully. Thanks again for watching.